me up when I make this. Dap me up when I make this bullseye. I know y'all don't like reading, so I'm gonna do it for you. Today we're reacting to the Bleacher Report article titled "One New Trade Idea for Every NBA Team." Now, I'm already a little concerned because it's written by Bleacher Report staff, and usually when someone doesn't put their name to something, they either got something to hide or it's really, really bad. But let's get into it. Of course, this is something that King of the Fourth Quarter, she wants to get out of here more than Dame once out of Portland. Go ahead, Pangu. King of the Fourth Quarter, Kenny Beecham. I'm sure like many of you, he's one of my favorite YouTubers for like the last decade now. This is something he does a lot, reacting to these articles, so I wanted to give it a try myself. So immediately, I see Pascal Siakam in the thumbnail. From what I've heard, Masai Ujiri seems like a lovely time to deal with and very easy to make trades with. So I'm sure whatever they have is something that he would agree to. They have Siakam and Reggie Bullock going to Atlanta. The Spurs get Capella, and the Raptors receive a few players, including DeAndre Hunter and 2 first-round picks. I don't think Masai Ujiri would go for that. Now, I am interested why we've seen a lot. Yeah, oh, you don't like it, Pangu? Had to take the kitten outside. She's a stray, but we take care of her because she's so lovely. It seems like the Raptors were kind of doing this half-ass rebuild the last few years. Maybe they're finally ready to go full-blown. They obviously got rid of Fred VanVleet, but it seems like they're hesitant to trade OG. They want like 7 first-round picks for him. I don't think this is something the Raptors would do just because of Masai, but they are receiving some nice draft capital, and I do think they can turn around DeAndre Hunter, and he's one of those guys that franchise has historically liked, the switchy defense, a guy that can score from outside, but that's not a package that I just see being feasible. The Spurs getting Capella doesn't make a lot of sense to me for obvious reasons. Just doesn't fit their rebuild, in my opinion. That's not really you want a guy like Wembanyama to learn from either. It's different games. But, of course, the fit with Siakam in Atlanta is beautiful. Get that team some more defense. Get them another guy that can help Trae Young score the ball. Not that DeAndre Hunter can't do those things, but obviously it's taken him some more time to blossom into what a lot of us thought he could become. So Siakam there would be perfect. Here we go. We got my favorite point guard in the NBA and the one I hate the most, Derek White. Game 6, never forget. Damian Lillard, of course, they're going to try to put him in Boston because that's what all of the national media is trying to do. They have the Celtics receiving Dame, and Portland is getting back Malcolm Brogdon, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, Pritchard, Robert Williams, and 4 first-round picks. Now, the 4 first-round picks is also something Miami can do once they're able to bring in a third team for Tyler Herro, which they will be able to do. People are acting like Tyler Herro is ass. When did that narrative start? Probably since he got drafted to Miami. Now, there's been a big debate over who's better, him or Tyrese Maxey. I personally would take Tyrese Maxey, but I do think that's a fair argument. But what's not a fair argument is if Tyler Herro is a garbage basketball player, because he's not. There's a lot of teams out there that would love to have him, and he's certainly worth at least 1 first-round pick. Now, do I think this package from Boston is decent? I'd say it's on par with what everybody else can offer, including Miami. Miami could get those 4 first-round picks. They could throw in Nikola Jovic and Jaime Jaquez, and now all of a sudden, I think this is better players, better assets, better tangible assets than what Boston has given up. Nobody wants Malcolm Brogdon, Sam Hauser, Cornett, or Pritchard. Robert Williams is solid, but he can't stay healthy. Just like Jusuf Nurkic, another big they have on the roster. So while I think this package is fine, it's not substantially better than what Miami can offer. That's why I just don't think it's feasible. Moving next, Brooklyn Nets, we got them receiving Tre Mann, and the Thunder get a 2nd-round pick. Now, this is a solid trade, I think, for the Nets. I really like Tre Mann as a player. He certainly fits their movement, provides some athleticism to that team, and, of course, some more depth at the guard spot, which is obvious. He plays guard. But the Thunder receiving a 2nd-round pick seems a little light. Maybe they do this just because they have a little bit of a loaded backcourt there with, of course, Giddey and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I know Dort plays some 2 or 3. So maybe that's why they do this. But truthfully, I say just keep Tre Mann and see if he can blossom into something better than 1 2nd-round pick. Why not? The Charlotte Hornets get T.J. McConnell. The Pacers receive Cody Martin. Interesting. Of course, T.J. McConnell's a guy that's starting to get, a little bit more to veteran status. Well, he is a veteran, and of course, the Hornets are more of a rebuilding team. But I think that's what they need. I think they want someone who can maybe mentor the younger guys, obviously the younger guard they have in LaMelo Ball. I think they could use some more defense, and that's exactly what T.J. McConnell provides. Truthfully, I absolutely love him. Part of that is because he's one of Jimmy Butler's closest boys, and I believe in everything Jimmy Butler stands for. So if he likes T.J. McConnell, so do I. You may think the meat munching is crazy with that statement, but I just like that mentality that Jimmy has. I really rock with it. TJ McConnell's another guy that has that same mindset. I'd love him here. And of course, the Pacers get Cody Martin, who appears to be the worst version of Caleb Martin. Maybe that's just because he's been in Charlotte his whole career and he could blossom as soon as he leaves, just like Caleb. I don't know. But obviously, I like the Martin twins too. So that's pretty nothing for both teams, but solid at the same time. We got the Chicago Bulls get Royce O'Neal. The Nets receive 2 second-round picks. Again, another team that could use some defense. I absolutely love that for him. Of course, they are losing Lonzo Ball for at least the next season, which is really sad. I mean, Lonzo, not only did he seem like a really solid basketball player that was getting better every year, but he seemed like a great guy. So it sucks to see him, miss a substantial amount of his career, but you hope he can recover. But Royce O'Neal would be great for them. But again, the Bulls, another team that's kind of doing this half-ass rebuild. And Royce O'Neal is a kind of a vet that you want for a contending team, like the Heat. Again, I'd love Royce here, so he'd help the Bulls, but still, it would still keep them in mediocrity. I guess this would create another roster spot for the Nets, give them a couple more draft picks, so kind of a nothing move on that end too. The Cleveland Cavaliers, another Royce O'Neal trade. This time the Nets would get Ricky Rubio and 2 second-round picks. Kind of the same thing there. Royce, another guy that can provide some defense for the Cavs because they just got Max Strus, who is solid on the defensive end, but I think he still leaves a little bit to be desired. We got another defender in Alex Caruso going to the Mavericks for Jaden Harvey, JaVale McGee in a 2025 second-round pick. Obviously, Luka, you look for him to carry the offense, so I think adding a guy like Caruso could be a lot of help. But I do think that team needs a lot more help, and it starts with getting rid of Kyrie Irving because he is a bum and a cancer. Argue with a wall. Denver Nuggets, another team getting TJ McConnell. Man, if they're throwing around TJ McConnell, bring him to Miami, man. Miami even got a $9.5 million player exception. I'll throw a bag at TJ just to come here and bring what he brings to the table because I absolutely love him. But McConnell going to the Nuggets is not something I care about. Fast forward to Heat Nuggets finals rematch, and he's killing us. The Detroit Pistons get Reggie Bullock again. I feel like he's been there 100 times, and I see Bagley going to the Spurs. I don't care about this trade other than the fact that if anybody can turn around Marvin Bagley, it's either the Spurs or Miami. The Golden State Warriors getting Paul George for the Chris Paul, Kuminga, Moses Moody, and a top 10 protected first-round picks in 2 years. Wow. See, this is the trade. You want to talk about putting teams over the top. This is a trade that will not do that. Paul George is a habitual playoff choker. The man named himself Playoff P, then went to hit the side of the backboard in the biggest games of his career. Missed like back-to-back clutch free throws when he carried that team to the Western Conference Finals. And yeah, I know I said it. Carried them to the Western Conference Finals. But what happened when the moment got big? Paul George shrunk once again. I think he is a bum. And a lot of people would probably argue that this would make Golden State a contender, but I don't like him. But it is interesting to see that they have the Golden State finally trading those 2 young guys because, of course, that's been rumored for a long time. And I think they could get someone better than Paul George. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I do not like Playoff Pete. The Houston Rockets getting Chris Boucher. I like Chris Boucher a lot, too. Seems to be a very solid defender. He can stretch the floor a little bit, even though he has the ugliest three-point shot that I've ever seen. The man got the catapult. But he'd be a nice pickup for a nice young Houston team. And it has the Raptors getting Kevin Porter Jr., another solid piece if they do decide to go in rebuild mode. I actually like that trade for both teams. We have the Indiana Pacers getting Siakam for Buddy Hield, McConnell, Walker, and 2 first-round picks. Now, that is a little bit of a nicer package than what we've seen for Siakam earlier. Obviously, you still got the 2 first-round picks, but you're getting Jarris Walker, who has been hooping in the Summer League. I'll admit, not a guy I knew much about coming into the Summer League because I'm not a huge college ball guy outside of March Madness, but he really seems like one of those big men that could do it all. I love a big man with a little dimer package, and that's exactly what he has. Of course, Buddy Hield still got a little bit of a big contract, but he is a very solid player, and as is TJ McConnell. Maybe those are 2 pieces that Toronto Raptors could trade at the trade deadline and get some more assets for that. This is actually not a bad package for them. And now you're talking about a big 2 of Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam for Indiana. That is solid. The Clippers getting DeMar DeRozan for Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and a first-round pick. I'm still a guy that really likes DeMar DeRozan. He seems to have had a lot of people sour on him. He had the MVP caliber season 2 years ago and took a little bit of a step back this year. And just because he can't shoot the three, people think all of a sudden that he's not a great player. I say, who cares if you can't shoot the three if you are dominating from the mid-range? Now, I get that causes a problem if you have other non-spacers and it clogs up the floor. That's why DeMar in Miami, for example, might not fit great because Bam and Jimmy really aren't shooting from out there. But on a team like this that has Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the regular season when they're healthy, it'll be a good fit. But basically, I think the Clippers are doomed for as long as they're in this Kawhi, Paul George rebuild because I love Kawhi, but he can't stay healthy, and Paul George is a bum. The Los Angeles Lakers will get Buddy Hield. Pacers get John Collins and Vanderbilt and Hood Schifino, and the Jazz get D'Angelo Russell. The Jazz just got John Collins. They'd already be shipping him off to Indiana with Jared Vanderbilt. So those are two very, very solid power forwards that I like. Of course, John Collins gets paid a lot, but on a team like Indiana, who really doesn't get a lot of free agents, cap space isn't as important on a team like that. And I do like his fit there. Of course, the pick and roll with Halliburton and John Collins is nasty. And the Lakers finally get Buddy Hield after rumors of that happening for like 6 years now. And as far as the Jazz getting D'Angelo Russell, I think that is irrelevant. The Memphis Grizzlies, another team getting in on the Pascal Siakam sweepstakes, and they are trading Luke Kennard, Brandon Clark, Zaire Williams, and 3 first-round picks in a pick swap. Again, you're mostly just looking at the picks here. Kennard has been better of late, but he's still just a bit of a journeyman. Obviously, Zaire Williams has not lived up to the hype. And Brandon Clark, after looking like he could be a very, very great young player, really hasn't done much since. So, of course, the Raptors would just be doing this for draft capital, and maybe this is one of the teams that could give them the most draft capital. And, of course, if you put Siakam on Memphis, a team that was already great last year, that'd be a great fit, especially since Siakam's a guy that has that championship experience. Maybe he can actually be more of a locker room vet, which they obviously need a lot. Steven Adams coming back will help them too, and I do like that trade for them. Here we go, though. The Miami Heat, and I see Lauri Markkanen in the thumbnail. It says the Heat receive Lauri, Utah receives Jaime, Duncan, and 2 first-round picks. On the surface, this is not a bad trade at all, okay? You get rid of Jaime Jaquez, a rookie, played 2 summer league games before he got hurt, was good in one of them. You're trading the 2 first-round picks. Really, it's like you're trading 1 because Duncan Robinson's contract is so bad that you need to attach a first-round pick to get rid of him. So that is a plus. Not to say that Duncan can't contribute. He obviously got a lot of DNPs in the regular season, but he had a very, very good playoffs. One of the only people that showed up in the finals. So I am hopeful that if he's on this roster, he can contribute more than he did last year. But the bottom line is he gets paid too much for his level of contribution. And for that reason, I think he's a negative asset at this point. So being able to get a guy like Lauri Markkanen, a young player, just made his first All-Star game for this package, isn't bad. It's not bad at all. The thing that concerns me is Lauri is a guy that was kind of mid to above mid for most of his career. So I still have concerns whether last year was just a fluke or not. And the Heat have a history of paying guys after 1.5 really good seasons and it not working out. So this one still is a little bit of a risk for me if the Dame thing was to fall through. As a matter of fact, I'm so confident that the Heat are getting Damian Lillard that I'm proving to y'all with fate. If I get a bullseye, he's coming here. If I don't, the Heat gets screwed. The Heat gets screwed. We're screwed. And I'm so confident that the Heat are getting Damian Lillard that if I get a bullseye, the Heat get him. And if I don't, the Heat gets screwed. Just in time, baby. Dab me up when I make this. Dab me up when I make this bullseye. This for Dame on the line. Boom!
Did you really get a bullseye?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'd go for it though, because you're still able to keep Tyler Herro. Maybe use Tyler in a trade for someone else, and you can have Lauri at your starting 4. And of course, fit-wise, he's great because he stretches the floor masterfully. The Milwaukee Bucks getting Bogdan Bogdanovic for the Tripper, Pat Connaughton, and a first-round pick. It was a few years ago. They almost got Bogdan Bogdanovic, but there was some weird tampering thing, and then it made a lot of people mad, and it was a beautiful day for me. I forget the story, but if y'all remember, that was a wild day in the NBA. Basically just trading the first round pick for Bogdanovic, a guy that could really, really help them score. So I like that a lot for them. And the Atlanta Hawks get a first round pick for a guy that had a bit of a down year or performed less than they thought. So it's not a terrible trade on both sides, but not something super important, I'd say, either. The Minnesota Timberwolves acquire Amen Thompson, Kevin Porter Jr., Jason Tate, and a 2020 first round, and 2 first round picks for Karl Anthony Towns. Wow. There's been a lot of talk about potentially trading Cat. Now, if you can get a package like this, I might want to go for it. Maybe it's because I'm buying into the recency bias hype of Amen Thompson and Asir Thompson hooping in the Summer League. I really like everything that's came out about those guys since the draft, just from their knowledge of the game to their basketball IQ to their athleticism that is already way better than the rest of the dudes out there, to their ability to drive and shoot and do everything. Very impressed with them. And if you're telling me you could add that athleticism from Minnesota next to Anthony Edwards, my God, you have a potential for a dominant duo for years to come. And they get the 2 first round picks. Now, you got to be sure that Karl Anthony Towns is not the move. Unfortunately, they can't really trade Rudy Gobert this soon because you'd be losing incredible value considering all they gave up for him. So it seems like they got to pick between Gobert and Towns, and for that reason alone, they might ship Towns out. Plus, I'm not sure how much they like him in the locker room. You had all that drama with Jimmy Butler starting saying that he doesn't try too hard. I've heard similar things come out since about Towns. Maybe Minnesota just wants to get off that and start fresh. And from the Houston Rockets side, a team that is trying to rebuild, you get a guy in Towns who's still relatively young and a phenomenal player when he's at his best, and pairing him next to Jalen Green and even Alperen Sengun. I think those two could fit very well together. They'd have a very, very nice young roster. I'm not sure I'd give up on Amen Thompson, though. Not this soon, and not for Karl Anthony Towns. The Pelicans getting Clint Capella from the Hawks for Jonas Valanciunas. I don't care about this trade, as they're simply just flipping big men, but I did hear that the Heat might be interested in trading for Jonas Valanciunas. I'd love that. He is everything that Bam is not, as far as a guy that you can get the ball in the post, hit a little shimmy, get a jump hook, beautiful footwork, great rebounder inside, giant body. I'd love him in Miami. I really would. But this trade is kind of irrelevant. New York Knicks getting OG Anunoby. It looks like for Fournier, Grimes, and 2 first-round picks. So here's the thing. This is why I said I don't think the Raptors would trade Siakam for 2, because they might not even trade Anunoby for 2 first-round picks. I think they might, but it's not a given, and I definitely don't think they trade Siakam for that. As far as this one, the Raptors really aren't receiving any win-now players. I guess Evan Fournier, Hall of Fame random scrub heat killer, but even that's died down over recently. And Quentin Grimes, Knicks fans love him. He got severely outplayed by Caleb Martin, so I'm not super high on him either. But they're getting the picks. If the Raptors are looking to rebuild, I guess they could sell off those guys and start their rebuild with Grimes, Fournier, and like 5 first-round picks. Obviously, if they trade Siakam as well. The Knicks getting OG Anunoby, that's tough. He is a guy that they could severely use, especially in the playoffs. I felt like they had trouble guarding a lot of our guys outside of Josh Hart sliding into Jimmy Butler's ankles. He'd be great there. He would be a great fit there, I'm not going to lie. The Thunder getting OG Anunoby for Lou Dort. And how many picks? 3 first-round picks. Wow. Now we're talking. That's a package. If I was the Thunder, I wouldn't do it, though. I think you can use those 3 first-round picks to get an actual legitimate star. And Lou Dort, I don't want to say he's the same as OG Anunoby, but he provides a lot of similar things as far as being able to guard 1 through 3. Anunoby could guard 1 through 4. And obviously, Anunoby's a phenomenal 3-point shooter. Lou Dort's a bit more hit or miss. But I really like Lou Dort a lot. And I don't think Anunoby's 3 first-round picks better than Lou Dort. So I would not do that trade. I'd do it if I was the Raptors, though. I would definitely do it if I was the Raptors. 3 picks for OG would be nice. Another Anunoby trade. This time he goes to the Magic. The Raptors receive Jonathan Isaac, Suggs, and a first-round pick. Now, the Magic aren't giving up too much here. Isaac obviously never plays anymore, can't stay healthy. And I know they have a bunch of guards on the roster with Jalen Suggs and obviously Cole Anthony and some other guys. But and they're only giving up 1 first-round pick. But I kind of want that team to just go into a hard rebuild, which they have been the last few years. And I think Anunoby is just the opposite of that. I guess they have some nice win-now piece or relatively soon win-now pieces like Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero, Wendell Carter. And Anunoby would fit so nice next to those guys. I really, really think he would. You know what? I talked myself into it. That's a good trade for the Magic. The Philadelphia 76ers getting Jae'Sean Tate. I do not care. That team is full of bums, and Jae'Sean Tate does not put him over the top. The Suns get Miles Turner and T.J. McConnell for DeAndre Ayton. Of course, Ayton signed the offer sheet with Indiana last year before Phoenix matched like 2 hours later. I remember Indiana cut a bunch of guys to make space for Ayton. They signed him, and then the Suns screwed them over. So if I was the Pacers, I would not do business with the Suns after that. Not to mention that Miles Turner is a better player for DeAndre Ayton, one of the softest bigs in the league. The Phoenix Suns make out like bandits. They really do. Getting a better center and T.J. McConnell who could play really, really solid playoff minutes, they'd absolutely win this trade. So if I was the Pacers, I would not do that in a million years. The Trailblazers, they are getting Spencer Dinwiddie and a first-round pick for Anthony Simons. Why would they trade Simons for an older guard? Is it just to acquire a pick? I gotta read this one. Simons turned 24 and proved himself to be an official. Simons just turned 24 and proved himself to be an efficient 20-point-per-game scorer this past season, but his position in the Blazers' backcourt pecking order is uncertain with Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, but Simons is so much better than Sharpe, at least at the moment. The other issue with Simons is that he makes the possible acquisition of Tyler Herro from the Miami Heat, an apparent non-starter. It sounds like they're doing this just assuming that the Heat would trade them Tyler Herro and make space for him. That's dumb. Tyler Herro's not going there. He's going to a third team, and this trade is just all around stupid. And if the Nets were to get Anthony Simons, that would be beautiful for them, but that trade is dumb. We have the Sacramento Kings getting our guy, Precious Achiuwa, from the Raptors for Davion Mitchell and 2 second-round picks. I don't see why the Raptors would do that. Again, he's been very solid there. His ability to shoot the three has been very impressive. Obviously, the switchy defender that they love. And he's still young enough to want to like him. Obviously, Davion Mitchell's a phenomenal defender himself, but I don't see why they'd necessarily prefer him over Achiuwa. And on the Kings side of things, this is a good trade, especially since you don't really look at Sabonis as a defender. They got Harrison Barnes, but he's not really guarding bigs like that, and neither is Trey Lyles. So I think Achiuwa would really fill a role there, but I just don't see why the Raptors would do that. We have the San Antonio Spurs getting Jonathan Isaac for Doug McDermott in a 2024 second-round pick. Jonathan Isaac never plays, so this trade is nothing. When he did play, he was good, though. The Toronto Raptors receiving Marvin Bagley and Killian Hayes, the greatest player in the NBA. At least that's what TikTok would have you believe. And the Pistons are getting Malachi Flynn, Otto Porter, Thad Young. Again, a bit of a nothing trade. It kind of seems like Marvin Bagley's just hopping around teams, seeing if he could find somewhere that sticks. Then it's yet to happen. The Raptors are another one of those teams that are very good at developing guys. So if they wanted to take a flyer on it, I suppose it could work for them. The Utah Jazz are getting Anthony Simons for Colin Sexton and a 2024 first-round pick. I actually really, really like Sexton a lot. People seem to be very low on him. I liked him ever since high school when he was staring that player in the face. And then with Alabama, he almost beat the other team 4-on-5. And I've always liked him since. Again, I don't know why this article has the Trailblazers so adamant about getting rid of Simons. I'm guessing because it has to do with the whole Tyler Herro thing again. But Simons is better than Colin Sexton at this point. I think he's a very, very good young piece to build around. And if I'm in a rebuild like the Blazers are about to be, I would not get rid of Simons. But he would fit nice in Utah. Nice in Utah. Simons would be good there because, of course, Utah, another team that's in a rebuild. The Wizards receiving Isaac Chumo Okiki and a second-round pick for Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones is a guy I like a lot, but again, the Magic don't really need guards. And Jonathan Isaac doesn't play, so I would not trade for him if I was anybody. That's all I got for this article. Overall, not bad. It's some of Bleacher Report's better work because they have put out some articles over the years that were a little wild. But a lot of these are actually realistic, I'd say. Of course, I do appreciate them trying to do something different instead of keep talking about Dame and Harden. Obviously, that's something I was trying to do too. We usually focus on the Miami Heat on this channel, but I figured why not expand my horizons a little bit, talk about something different for a change, and maybe get a few new listeners in here too. So if you did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe so other people can see this. We're on the grind to 3K subs, and I really genuinely appreciate all the support this channel has gotten over the last 2 weeks. But that being said, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.